Hey, what's up? It's Moshe Loren. And for 23 years, I was the voice on the radio behind the mic in cities like St. Louis, Philly, and West Palm Beach, connecting with listeners and sharing stories and just being a voice for the community. We've laughed together, we've cried together, and we've navigated the crazy ups and downs of this life together. But then life threw me a curveball. After my 10-year marriage ended, everything changed overnight. And I found myself asking, so what now? This podcast is my answer. And it's not just my journey, it's ours. It's for those of us who have had to reset, pivot, or start over in the face of life's unexpected challenges. Together, we'll explore healing, happiness, grief, self-reflection, forgiveness, dating, yes, dating, because I got to get back in these streets, and everything in between. Through my journey, I'm creating a safe space for us to come together, reclaim our strength, and rebuild our lives. You don't have to go through this alone. Together, we'll find the confidence to create the happily ever after we all deserve. So what now? Let's figure it out together. And welcome. Happy Thursday. Welcome to So What Now. Matter of fact, happy Halloween, everybody. Welcome to So What Now. I am your host, Moshe Loren. This is the podcast for those of us who are taking painful endings and turning them into beautiful, beautiful new beginnings. And speaking of beautiful, I've been saying this since this is like our 6th week already. I've been saying this for 6 weeks. Speaking of beautiful, I like to remind you, those of you who are just finding us, I like to remind you that this show is a beautiful mess. It is a beautiful mess, meaning that there may be some technical things that happen, like today's Halloween. And although I turned my light out and I put a sign on the door, somebody just may ring my doorbell anyway. But we just gonna go with it, okay? And the other thing I want to bring your attention to, if you're just joining us, every week, we always have a little glass of wine because you need a little libation. But anytime you libate, you got to remember to hydrate, okay? Okay, those are the rules. So let's just get it started the right way. Here we go. Libate and hydrate. And another beautiful mess are my 2 babies who are down here, kind of like lingering below. I'm sure they'll want to jump up here anytime now, Max and Milo. So they are always co-host of the show. As always, though, I like to start with some gratitude, and I'm so grateful because we are really, really building a village here. And I so enjoy responding to your comments and your DMs and all of that stuff. It means so much to me to hear how the show is impacting you. So I'd like to start off there if we can. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Like, subscribe, and share. Say it with me. Like, subscribe, and share. As of this week, we are at 200 subscribers. Yay us, yay us, yay us. This time next year, I'm hoping to be at like 200,000. Is that lofty? They said dream big. If you only dream to the point and extent that you can accomplish it, then you ain't allowing God to do God. Okay. So thank you though. Thank you guys and everybody who has subscribed to So What Now. And I also like to take this opportunity to thank some of the comments, some of the people who have taken time to pin comments, because I know that it's hard. It's hard to really, speak your truth to people that you don't know. But I'd like to read this one. This is my gratitude highlight of the week. It says, so I feel a little stalkish. That's why I didn't comment on YouTube. But tonight you hit me with what I'm going through. And this is about last week's episode. To sum up my marriage, my husband doesn't want me anymore. He got in this bad bike accident and he lost everything he was building. So he's mad at everybody. I can't do anything right. He brings up my exes, and mind you, I'm 50 now. He's jealous of my sister relationship, and the list goes on. I feel like I have a heaviness over me with anxiety attacks. I was working out. I'm sorry. I forgot to punctuate. Here we go. I feel like there's a heaviness over me, anxiety attacks, and I was at workout class and just started crying out of nowhere. I say this to say your channel is a sign of hope for me, and your channel is a sign of hope for me, seeing you beautiful. I'm like, okay, that means that I will be beautiful and fun again. So you are helping, and I want to wake up and not feel depression one day. Love you, girl. Oh man, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I appreciate more that you felt safe enough to share your story with me. And I shoulder some of that because I talked about the stages of grief last week. I showed her some of what you're going through. Know that you definitely have a friend in me and the village, and we're here to help lift you. And this is the last thing I'll say. We are all fearfully and wonderfully made. So you don't need anybody to validate how beautiful you are. You are beautiful just because you woke up this morning, because and you are a child of God. So keep that with you, girl. Love you. Hugs and kisses. All right. So, as you all know, it is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, right? And we've been talking about this. I've been talking about it all month because it's near and dear to my heart. And I, because it's the last day of National Domestic Violence Month, I wanted to take an opportunity to share with those who don't know my personal story. Before I do that, before I get into that, though, I want to go over some statistical facts because sometimes hearing just the data on some of these things, and I call it an epidemic, hearing the data on it is staggering. So, domestic violence, as you know, doesn't discriminate. It does not discriminate. It affects all people of different ages and races and creeds and colors and socioeconomic backgrounds. I mean, everybody from the city, to the suburbs. 1 in every 3 woman will experience domestic violence in her lifetime. 1 in every 3. And I always like to say, if you know 3, then ultimately you know 1. And studies indicate that 50%, check this out, 50% of female murder victims are killed by their intimate partners. That's a crazy number. About 1 in 15 children are exposed to intimate partner violence each year, with 90% of them being eyewitnesses to the violence. 1 in 9 men, y'all, will experience domestic violence in their lifetime. And I'll tell you what, the reason why the numbers for men are so much lower than the statistical data so much lower than women is because men typically don't report. Men don't report. Maybe it's ego, maybe it's a little bit of masculinity, and just not taken seriously. So the numbers could be a little skewed on the men. Mental health implications for both men and women could be things like PTSD, suicide, shame, depression. I can certainly relate to the shame. Oh, God, when we get into my story, I can certainly relate to the shame. And when you carry that, obviously, it'll start to weigh down on your mental health. And in the United States, a person is typically abused by an intimate partner approximately every 3 seconds. How many seconds have we been live now? So you multiply that. Every 3 seconds, somebody is being abused. And this is, like I said, when I started this conversation, I believe domestic violence is an epidemic. It's a silent issue that we don't talk about enough. It's a silent thing that people are going through that is not talked about enough. And I think that until we remove the shame and take the veil of shame away from domestic violence and really talk about it at its heart. I mean, like, not just talking about the one side of it, because obviously there's victims of domestic violence, and then there's also the victimizers, the abusers, and there just isn't enough conversation about both sides of that equation, right? And so I think that I absolutely use my platform to raise more awareness about that. And I just wanted to give some advice before we really get into the meat of the show. I wanted to give some advice to those of you who are supporting a loved one through domestic violence right now, because I know it's hard. I know it is hard to see somebody that you love and you care about go through something like that, and you feel powerless. You feel like there's nothing you can do. But I implore you to listen without judgment, right? Be really, really patient. Be really, really patient, because it's a really complex thing. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time, for that person to leave. Offer unconditional support. That's super important. Educate yourself. And when I say unconditional support, I want to go back to that really quick, because when I say unconditional support, I don't mean support only if the person has decided to leave. If you just have to grin and bear and hear the stories over and over as much as you don't want to, don't close yourself off to that person. Keep yourself open. Educate yourself, because the cycles of domestic violence are crazy. And I'll talk a little bit about the cycles that exist in my own life and in my own family. So really educate yourself on this. And obviously, professional help is out there. We talk about seeking counseling if counseling is needed, recommend it, encourage it. Help with safety planning if they will allow you to. You know, there's so many places that women or men who are going through this. There's so many safe houses and places you can go anonymously, and as a loved one, you can help them to create a safety plan. And then just be patient with yourself. You know, like I said, you know, you're in a situation where you are sort of powerless. All you can do is be there for them, but you can't make them leave. So be patient with yourself and know that whatever you're offering in terms of support, you're doing the best that you can. All right. And remember, like, love doesn't hurt, y'all. That's how I can sum it up. If it's hurting you, it's not good. It's not good. And I mean physically, emotionally, spiritually, or financially. If it's hurting you, it's probably not a situation that you should be in. So if you or someone you know are experiencing domestic violence, there are safe places to go. There are people to talk to and safe places to go, and they can help you get there. I'd like for you to call that number that's on the bottom of the screen there. That's the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. That's 1-800-799-7233. When we get back, my personal story of surviving domestic violence, from fear to freedom, right after this break. Enjoying the show so far? Well, please like, comment, subscribe, or share. And to keep up with all things Moshe Loren, that's me, head over to MosheLoren.com. Okay, guys. Oh, let me take a deep breath. Woo! I gotta take a deep breath, because this is I haven't talked about this in a long time. I've been talking about it for a long time, but I've not talked about it in a long time. I'm gonna keep this, as a matter of fact, I was gonna take that number down. I'm gonna keep that number up on the screen throughout the show. So originally, I had hoped that my daughter's father would be a guest on the show today. He confirmed, but then after he confirmed, a couple days later, he changed his mind. And I've been sharing my story through domestic violence for probably the past 15 years when I was on radio, doing radio. And I thought that it would be good to hear from him this time. You know, I mean, he's definitely on the other side of this. He's a whole new person. He and I have a fantastic relationship. He's building a lovely relationship with our daughter, and I love him. And that's just what it is. And I thought that it would, because he's healed from that, I thought it would be good to hear from him. And for me, to be honest with you guys, for me, you know, we've never talked about it together. Like, we've never, he knows I talk about it in my advocacy work. He knows that. But he and we've never sat down to really talk about it. But, you know, he didn't want to do it this time. And I respect that. And I love him nonetheless. And I know that when the time comes and he's ready to share, it's going to be transformative, not just for him, but for those who hear his story. It's going to be transformative. So here we go. Can I libate really quick, please? Because my mouth is getting dry and I'm getting a little nervous. Okay. All right. So we met when I was 14 in ninth grade. He was in a grade higher than me. He was a star football player. He was cute. He was hot, and he got a lot of attention from girls, right? But me on the other hand, I wasn't so confident. I wasn't so confident back then, and I didn't have a lot of friends. In fact, I really had low self-esteem. Like, I had really, really low self-esteem. And so when, well, I had low self-esteem. And I'll tell you, that came from me being in elementary school. When I was in elementary school, I was teased and bullied. I was teased and bullied by a guy named Mark Presley. And because I didn't have the nicest clothes, right? I didn't have the nicest clothes, but I always kind of made do with what I had, always made little outfits up and stuff to try to look cute and stuff. And the other thing that I was really, really insecure about back then was my hair. You see that? Do y'all know which one is me? I'm the one on the, I guess it's my left and maybe you're right. I don't know. But yeah, this is a picture of me and my older brother. And this is what I looked like growing up in grade school. I had no hair. And I got to tell you the story of how I got to have no hair. But after that incident happened, I'm going to share that on another day. Remind me, y'all. But after the incident happened where my hair was totally cut off, it never grew back. Like it never, this is the longest my hair has ever been since, since I stopped perming it. But anyway, so this was my grade school picture. And in this picture, as you can see, I didn't have much hair. And that made me really insecure because I was really the only little girl in school that didn't have hair. Other girls had really long pigtails, is what they called them back then. And they had little fancy, you know how you have bows and fancy barrettes and all this stuff. And obviously, as you can see, I wasn't getting the barrettes and bows in my hair. So it really made me feel insecure. And it didn't help that, this guy would bully me about that. And so when I got to high school, I carried that insecurity with me into ninth grade. And when I met my daughter's father, like I said, he was like all the things in school. And he was interested in little old me. Like he was like really feeling me. I'm like, what? You like me? And it was so many in my mind, there were so many other beautiful girls there that I was just geeked that he liked me. And so we started dating. And things moved pretty quickly. Things moved quick in terms of the progression into the violent part of our relationship. That moved pretty quickly because right off the back he sort of was always possessive and really controlling, and it started with him wanting to be with me all the time. So if he's with me all the time, then I can't be with my friends, right? So he started to sort of want to be with me all the time, which meant that I couldn't be with my friends as much. Oh, let me take this off. Where am I at? There we go. And so it started to sort of, isolate me a bit. And I was spending the night at his house, not with my mother's permission, mind you. I was spending the night at his house. He was spending the night at my house. I remember one time, y'all, this is funny. I remember this is how crazy, I guess, infatuated we were with one another. We could not be a moment apart. He would come over my house and my mom had installed these cameras and all this stuff. And so when she started to realize my brother and I was bringing through people through the house, so she installed cameras by the door. So instead I would drop I tell him to go to the side of the house. I dropped some sheets down like Rapunzel, remember that? And I would have him scale up the side of the house with the sheets to get in my bedroom without the cameras catching him. That's what I would do. Or my mom caught me at his house and she beat me with a wiffle ball bat around the car when she found out I was there. So this is just how infatuated we were with being with one another every single day. And then it started to progress into stuff like, okay, so now I'm not with him every day, but he wanted to monitor everywhere I went, where I was going, who I was going with, how long I was going to stay, when I was coming back. And he needed to know everything about my life, even down to what I wore to school. Wore to school, because we dated from ninth grade all the way up and through high school. And then like a year after, because I had gotten pregnant that summer, I got out of school. And so it got to the point where even when he graduated school, he would he would come to my house in the morning just to see what I was wearing to school. And I can remember a story that it was senior picture time, right? And I don't know if you guys are familiar with, or your schools did this, but back then in our yearbook, they had what they call senior superlatives. And this is where you nominate the most likely to succeed or the best dress. Now, by ninth grade to 12th grade, I had gotten myself together, okay? Because she was cute by the time I got to 12th grade. And I was nominated for best dress. So I had a little outfit I was gonna wear, and he showed up on my house at my house that morning before I went to school. And he saw what I was gonna wear, and that turned into a big argument, which turned into a physical fight. And I had a black eye. And so I couldn't go to school that day because I couldn't go to school and take pictures with a black eye. And so I never made it into the yearbook in that section. And I'm thinking if they even left it out or did they give it to the person that came in after me? I don't even remember. But that really, really hurt my feelings because obviously, for somebody who was so insecure to get that to be nominated by her peers for something like that, I was really proud of that. I didn't go on my high school trip. He didn't let me go on my high school senior trip to Disney World or Orlando, wherever we went. I couldn't go there. And when we did go to the prom, I had to sit at the table the entire prom. Like my friends would come over, like, "Come on, Shay, you want to go? You want to dance? You want to go to the bathroom?" Even if I went to the bathroom, he want to walk me to the bathroom. I felt like I was in a prison. And the interesting part about that is that my friends, they didn't really know what was going on because I never shared with them what was going on. They knew that I had pulled back. And I remember my girlfriend Sharonda for her class pictures, when we got them back, she gave me a picture of her. And on the back of the picture, it said, "Since I don't ever get to see you, I don't want you to forget what I look like." And she gave me this picture because that's how isolated I had become from my friends, even my family, like even my family. Because I remember, when they found out, it wasn't because I told them, it's because an incident had happened, and they were around. I can't even remember. There were so many incidents. I can't remember exactly which one was the first one. I can't remember exactly which one was the one where my family sort of backed up a little bit, because what tends to happen is that when they find out and they're like, "What?" They're shocked at first. Immediately, they're shocked that it's happening, and they want to jump on him. They want to, obviously they love me, and so they don't appreciate him hurting me, and so they don't want me to see him anymore and all that stuff. And I would do it for a week or two and then be back with him. So that whole, yo-yo and that whole cyclical thing that I was going through with, leaving and coming back and breaking up and coming back, my family just got tired. And so they sort of turned a blind eye to it in a way. I'm not mad at them for doing that, because I know how exhausting that was for them, because it was exhausting even for me. And there's so many incidents, guys, when I was thinking about what stories I should sort of share with you, because remember, I'm 14, started at 14 and all the way till I was like 19. And so there were so many stories, but I'll share a few of them with you. I remember distinctively a time. Well, let me just say this: most of the stories, most of the reasons why we were fighting, had to do with me breaking his rules, because he had very, very strict rules for me. In terms of where, if I went to the store, it's time, like everything was very, very strict. And one of the things that he used to say, if we were to go out, he used to always say, when we get into a room, I don't want you to look at anybody. You either find a blank spot on the wall or you look at me. And that was the rule. You do not let your eyes wander to look at anybody but me, or find a spot on the wall. There were times we could be pulling up at a light. You know how you pull up at a light and you're there first, and then a car just sort of like comes next to you, and then like instinctively you turn over and just look, not like stare. You're just like, okay, somebody pulled up, I'm looking. Baby, that could set off a whole ricochet of stuff. That's how strict he was when it came to my eyes. And I remember one time when, he had to enforce it. We were at a bar we shouldn't have been at. We were at this bar, and he wouldn't sit next to me. If we were at a bar or we go somewhere, he wouldn't sit next to me. He would sit across the room from me. And you know why? He wanted to monitor my eyes from across the room. So he would be staring at me the whole time just to see where my eyes would go. And if they drift off, he'd look back to see what I was looking at to make sure it was a blank spot in the wall. So this one day, we were up in my room, and I remember I had like a projector TV. So the projector, and then there was like the projector was out actually framed in this box, this wooden box that sat in the middle of my room, and it was one of our arguments. And I remember him taking me by my hair and slinging me across the room till I hit the corner of the box, and it left a gash in my back, like a gash that needed stitches that I never went to get stitches. So it's sort of a little keloid on my back to this day. I remember that. I remember a time where we were at his house, because I spent a lot of time at his house. We were at his house and we were in the living room, and his mom was laying on the couch, and she was at that time wasn't able to move around much. And his friend had come over, and his friend was there for some hours, whatever. We were eating cheesesteaks from one of our favorite places. We were eating these cheesesteaks, and he was there. My daughter's father and I were eating the cheesesteaks, but his friend came over while we were eating. And so, just out of being polite, I said, "Hey, would you like a piece?" Because he had just come in and we were about to eat. And I'm like, "Would you like a piece?" And I didn't think any more of it until he left. When he left, baby, it was like World War III. And now this would be the first time he had ever struck me in front of his family. His mother was sitting on the couch, and he took me, and it was like like a rag doll around the freaking living room like this. And I might have had some fake hair or something. And then he was just whirling me around, and his mom screaming, "Leave her alone, let her go, leave her alone, let her go." And I'm crying, and I'm trying to, get loose or whatever. And when I finally did, I ran out the house, and I ran all the way home. We lived maybe 15 minutes away from each other, and I ran all the way home. And this was just one of many, many, many incidents, guys, many incidents. And after a while, I just started to fight back. Like, at first, I wasn't fighting back. First, I was just kind of like trying to diffuse the situation, because I always knew when he was getting to the point where he'd want to strike me or he'd want to hit me. So I would try to diffuse it and talk my way out of it and talk real soft and be really nice and that sort of thing to try to diffuse it. And when he would hit me, I would just try to defend myself and defend myself from getting really, really hurt. Right. So I just put my arms up and my feet up just to keep him from getting to my face really good. And then there was a time that, okay, so now that happened. Then I'm just trying to fast forward through all the stuff. And then after years upon years of going through this, again, we went through high school. He fought me in high school in front of people. And that's when my friends started to find out. And then when after we graduated, the summer of 1992, I graduated in 92. That's when I got pregnant. I got pregnant the summer of 92. And that's when things sort of took a really dark turn. It was December 31st of 1992. And this is a day that I'll never forget. Give me 1 second, real quick. Max, come here, honey. Come on, get up here, because I need you not to bark. Okay, come on. Okay, I need you to get up here. These are Max and Milo. So it was December 31st, 1992 is a night that I will literally never forget. It's the night that I decided that this had to really end. And so if you just hold tight for 1 second, I'm going to situate my dogs, take a short break. And when we come back, I will tell you about the night that changed my life forever. Step into Closet Bar, the spot where fashion meets attitude and every piece is a vibe. Whether you're looking to shake or stir up a night out or something casual for your everyday slay, they've got pieces that'll serve you day and night. From casual to sexy, trendy, and timeless. Freshen up your wardrobe with Closet Bar. Timeless pieces, brunch pieces, day with your bae pieces, and everything everything in between. At Closet Bar, fashion is made for everyone. With a wide range of sizes and styles, there's something for every woman, no matter your age, shape, or vibe. Want some extra help curating your look? Book a personal style session and let our experts craft the perfect outfits for you, tailored to your personality and lifestyle. Head over to Closet Bar and get a taste of what it means to stand out. Shop the latest collections and upgrade your style game. Don't miss out on the must-have pieces that'll keep you fly and fierce no matter where the day or night takes you. Whether it's a statement piece or everyday essential, Closet Bar has what you need to feel confident and look amazing. For your next signature look, shop myclosetbar.com. Use the word closet at checkout and receive a 10% discount. Closet Bar, because you deserve to look as good as you feel. Hey guys, so if you like the content and the things that we do here, I just want you to continue to like, follow, and share the podcast. So let me get to the story that really changed my life, and it changed my life for the betterment of my life. Give me 1 second. 1 second. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. So this was New Year's Eve. Okay. And we were on our way to a party that we had been invited to in Trenton, New Jersey. I believe we were in Trenton. And of course, this was no different than any other night in that, the rules applied. Even though it's New Year's Eve, the rules applied. And I was really, at this point, I was thoroughly trained on what these rules were. And so we headed to the party. I am 6 months pregnant at the time. And when we got there, I made sure to find a seat in the corner, right? In the corner. I didn't want anybody behind me, and I tried to avoid having people on the side of me. I wanted to be kind of off to myself in the corner. So I found the chair in the corner, and I sat in this corner all night. I may have gotten up to eat, here and there, but I made sure he was at the table so that he could see that I'm just making a plate and I'm going right back to my little corner. And I was really careful. And that's what I can say. I can say I was really, really careful that night because I wanted to just have a good night, right? And so right out after midnight, after we did the whole countdown into the new year, right after midnight, we got up to leave, and we had about a 30-minute ride back home. And so immediately he starts talking about, who was it? Why was you looking at this guy? And I'm like, what guy? I wasn't looking at anybody. And he's like, yeah, I saw you. I was looking at you all night. You were looking at this guy. And I'm steady saying I wasn't looking at anybody. But the more I said I wasn't looking, the angrier he got. The more angry he got, the more I said I wasn't looking. And so the argument continued to escalate and escalate and escalate and escalate until finally he took his backhand and he just wailed me in my mouth, like so hard. The force was so strong. My head literally hit the seat, like one of those kind of things. And as soon as he did that, my mouth, wow, just blood everywhere. And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. Cause I thought my tooth had touched the back of my gum, like I could feel that my tooth was still in my mouth, but it was hinged on the back of my gum. And so I'm holding my mouth, I'm crying, I'm holding my mouth, and he's still wailing at me like this, right? He's still wailing at me. So I'm trying to defend myself and hold my mouth. And then finally, he reached over me. And he took the door handle, opened the door, and he pushed me out the door. He pushed me out the door on the highway, driving, 6 months pregnant. I was 5 months pregnant, actually. This is January. I was 5 months pregnant. And he pushed me out the door. And so when I rolled out the car, I just remember rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. And he didn't stop. He just kept driving. And I could see his brake lights, fade off into the distance while I'm rolling and rolling down this highway. And when I finally came to a stop, I touched my stomach because I just wanted to make sure that my baby was moving. I wanted to make sure that my baby was moving. And so I just laid there and I'm like doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. I'm trying to get her to kick because she was kicking at that time. I'm trying to get her to kick and nothing was happening. And nothing was happening. So I get up and I just remember like I had this orange and white suit on. I'll never forget, as a white suit, had these orange little cutouts in the arms. And it was like drenched in blood because my mouth was bleeding, my nose was bleeding, everything was bleeding. And I remember seeing a residential area off of the highway. I remember seeing a residential area off the highway. And so I kind of walked over there and I just walked to a house. And my memory gets a little faded because I do remember that I did, the person did answer the door and they saw the blood and they were just like, did you need help? Obviously. And they ended up taking me to the hospital. So when I got to the hospital, they obviously wanted to check to make sure that the baby was okay. And then, they did, confirm that she had a heartbeat and everything. And they said that we should probably just keep you overnight just to monitor you. Right. So I stayed overnight to be monitored. And the next morning, they said that, baby's heartbeat was good. Our blood pressure was good. And so they released me. And through God's grace and mercy, we were okay. But now, I guess for me, and this is crazy how it kind of comes back to where we are today. At this particular time, this is when I had to ask myself at 19 years old, so what now? Like, really, so what now? Because I knew that me carrying this beautiful human being, my baby girl, I could not, would not bring her into this world. I would not bring this little life into this world in this environment. So that was the night that for me, that it was really over, And oh gosh, I need some tissue. Yeah, I might mess some a little makeup up, chat. Hold on, y'all. Give me 1 second, please. So little did I know that because I wanted it to end that night, little did I know that it wouldn't be the end. It would not be the end. What's important to note too, just about domestic violence, is that period immediately after leaving an abusive partner, is often the most dangerous for women. You know, that statistic that said 50% of women die at the hands of their abusers. Is because in this moment, when you leave and they no longer have control and power over you, that's when it becomes much more dangerous than even you being there. They say statistically that 70% of women who leave are more likely to be killed by their abusive partner. So that's even greater than the 50% of women who just overall are murdered by their domestic partners. 70% of them, when they leave in that phase of the relationship, or when it ends, is when they are more in jeopardy of being harmed. So anyway, he stalked me for 2 years, literally stalked me for 2 years. I mean, like hiding outside of my house and sitting under my window, listening to my phone calls and conversations, even trying to break into my apartment. I remember he drove his Jeep. I lived in an apartment and I lived on the inside of the apartment where the courtyard was. And in order to get to the courtyard, well, cars could not get to the courtyard. The courtyard was on the inside of the complex. And in order for you to get a car in the courtyard, you had to jump a curb. And he did that. He jumped a curb, parked his Jeep underneath my balcony, to use the hood of his Jeep to jump on my balcony to try to break into my apartment. He I remember one time this is after, y'all. This is after. So these are all incidents that are happening after. And then there was one time where he came up to my job, right? And I was sitting outside talking to a friend during lunch hour, and he blocked our car in. And my friend was sitting on in the driver's seat. I was sitting in the passenger seat, and we were talking. And I saw his car pull up out of my side view mirror. And I'm telling my friend, roll up the windows, pull off, roll up the windows, hurry up, hurry up. And he's like moving slow. He doesn't know what are you talking about? What's going on? I'm like, oh my God, please, please, please. He's going to do something crazy, please. I'm pleading with this guy to roll up the windows and get out of there. And he's just like all slow. And before you know it, he comes over to the passenger side window. He pulls me out, and I'm literally leaning over the car window like this. And he's just pummeling, bam, 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 all in my head and in my face. And when my friend finally, I guess he was kind of in shock, but then he finally reacted, and he got out of the car to, sort of like scare him off. And he jumped in the car and left, but he left me really, really fucked up. Like I had like two big knots on my head because all he was hitting is my head. So I had these two big knots on my head. And, cops came and all of that. And, I, believe it or not, guys, I know you're probably like, did you ever call the cops? I had probably called the cops maybe one time in our entire relationship that I ever called the cops on them. But I don't remember exactly how the story ends, but that incident happened after we broke up. And then it took me sort of, I guess, not actually me, it took him meeting someone else and starting a whole new relationship before he left me alone. Like this happened for 2 years until he got into another relationship. And once he started dating someone else, it took his attention off of me. And I will tell you, those 2 years, I was in more fear of my life than the 4 or 5 years that we were in a relationship. I was more fearful of my life then than when we were in the relationship. So you got to know that I took a sigh of relief, a deep breath, exhaled when he got with this other girl. But I knew in my heart of hearts that she was in trouble. I knew she was in trouble. And I'm gonna sort of stop my story there, only because I'm not at liberty to tell anybody else's story. But just know that I was, after that point, the abuse for me stopped. And for years, for years, I was truly afraid to talk about this out of the embarrassment of it and the fear of being judged, right? When I finally got the courage to, share, I realized that so many other women were suffering in silence. And in hindsight, I now understand domestic violence was a generational curse for me and my family. My grandmother, my mother's mother, was murdered by her domestic partner. I saw my mother go through domestic abuse. And I knew that the cycle had to be broken with me. I could not see my daughter go through what I witnessed my mother and heard about what had happened to my grandmother, whom I never met, mind you. So then I was on the radio at the time, and I decided to use my platform on the radio to become an advocate for this cause. And I wanted to create more awareness. I wanted to take the shame away. And so I eventually joined the Pennsylvania Pennsylvania Coalition Against Domestic Violence, where I served on the board for 7 years and was very, very instrumental in lobbying Congress for one of the biggest pieces of legislation called the VAWA Act. It's Violence Against Women Act. It is designed to improve the criminal justice system and provide more support and services for the victims of domestic violence and grants and all of that stuff. So I was really instrumental in working with the board in getting that done. And it was through all of this hard work, through this work, that I was really able to finally heal those wounds, and learn to forgive, because I was carrying a burden of non-forgiveness for a long time. And it was really only then that I was able to go from fear to freedom. And so what now, you ask? And so what now? Well, after this break, I want to share something that I've learned. But the way I want to do it is I want to read an open letter to my 14-year-old self. But first, check out this vintage throwback PSA I did for domestic violence.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 women are abused in their lifetime? Did you know that 1.4 million women are physically assaulted every year? Did you know that every 15 seconds a woman is being beaten? What number are you?
Okay, guys. So I talk about this every week, right? I talk about the importance of journaling, how therapeutic and how healing it is, and how it has just helped me so much over the years. In doing this show, I wanted to speak to the 14-year-old girl that I was that went through this. I wanted to speak to her. And so this is what I've learned. Dear 14-year-old me, if I could sit with you now, I tell you to look in the mirror and see yourself as beautiful, vibrant, and filled with light. I know you don't feel that way yet. I know you see yourself as somehow less than others, wishing you could fit in, feeling like you're always one step behind. But let me tell you a secret. You've always had everything you needed inside of you, even if you can't see it yet. In the years to come, you'll face challenges that will push you, test you, and make you question your worth. You'll look for love in places that don't always value you and you'll give far more of yourself than you'll receive in return. You'll feel weighed down, lost, and sometimes alone. But those moments of doubt and pain are not your end. They're the very fires that will shape you into the resilient, wise, and powerful woman you are meant to become. One day, you'll look back on those times and understand how they made you stronger. You'll find the lessons in love you're learning now will guide you for the rest of your life. You'll learn that real love never diminishes you, never keeps you small or afraid. Instead, true love respects, cherishes, and honors who you are, and you deserve nothing less. You are worthy of a love that holds you gently, lifts you up, and that makes you feel seen. In this journey of life, even as you face new seasons and say goodbye to relationships that no longer serve you, remember this: you are whole, you are enough, and you deserve to be loved with care and kindness. One day, you'll turn these experiences into a purpose beyond yourself. You'll help others find their way, speak their truth, and step into their own power. Every step you're taking now, even the painful ones, are leading you toward that incredible future. Hold your head high. Hold your head high, my beautiful girl. You are so much stronger than you know, and you are never alone. With all the love in the world, your future. So What Now is produced and executive produced by me, Moshe Loren. And I just got to say a shout out to my girl over here, Meek Meek. My girl, Meek Meek, is here every week with me holding this thing down. Thank you so much, Meek. I love you. I love you. I love you to the moon. And I'm also stalling because I'm trying to find these credits. Shout out to my girl Meek. Shout out to my entire team that helps me to put this together. My man Warren of, hold on one second. My guy Warren of City Country Creators designed our beautiful website. Make sure you check it out. It's MosheLoren.com. And also to my technical engineer, Abdul Kadus, and my girl Takia Crawford and Shimika. They both handle our social media. Thank you guys so much. Now the show may be over. It may be over, but it's not over. Meaning you can join us. We're going to be over at TikTok for our TikTok talk back. I can't press all these buttons at one time. I ain't even gonna hold you. TikTok talk back happens right after this. Head on over there. You can find me at Moshe Loren, and we'll be over there we'll be over there at 8 o'clock, and then we'll hang out with you for as long as it takes if you want to continue to sort of just you want to continue to just talk and share a little bit over there, we can do that there. And okay, that's what I was trying to do. Okay. I want to hear from you. I definitely want to hear from you. This has been an amazing sharing experience for me. And the more I tell this story, the more I feel like I heal from it. And remember, if any of you or you know someone who is suffering through domestic violence, I want you to please call this number, 1-800-799-7233. That's 1-800-799-7233. Join the conversation each week right here at 7 o'clock. We're live on YouTube. You can follow me on all social media platforms. And it's so important that you continue to like, subscribe, and share if you like what we're doing here. And I want to hear from you. It's a talkback community. I don't want to just monologue. I want a dialogue. Okay. So remember that if you don't have, I have a question really quick. Hold on one second. Meet real quick. TikTok. Can you get that started real quick for me? This phone. You know why? Because what I want to do is I want to show y'all some of the behind the scenes stuff too. Okay. So remember to follow me on all social media outlets. Oh, I got to give you that. I told you it's a beautiful mess. Hold on. I just want them to get some of the BTS. Head over to TikTok because they get all the good, juicy stuff. But anyway, I want to have a conversation with you. Remember, your story is your strength. And on the other side of helping is healing. On the other side of healing is helping. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. Until next time.